Greetings! Welcome, Anthony Mars Jr. on PR Lost Galaxy 2014 with a fan film audio commentary and special presentation presented by my self-devoted fan page on Facebook and the Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group of mine. Well, today I'm going for the final video for PR Lost Galaxy 2014 Season 2, outside of podcasts and vlogs and toy reviews and everything else I usually do here. And, well, actually, once in a while, every time. For the final video for PR Lost Galaxy 2014 Season 2, I'm going to wrap up the season with an audio commentary on my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. Now, for any of you who have never seen for those who have wanted to see the fan film, well, the majority of you didn't. For those that wanted to see the film, the link to the film is on my channel on the where I posted it as a trailer. So for those that want to see the film, go right ahead. It's on my channel already. But what I'm going to do is do a commentary on the fan film. And then also during the commentary, I'm going to talk about how I felt about the film. Was it well done or what? I feel that the film is rushed in a way. I understand some people have seen the film and they must have said that the movie sucked because it's rushed. I mean, for a 1 hour and 40-some minute fan film, this feels rushed because there's nothing much to throw in there. And I feel that this fan film of mine pretty much is just as worse as Power Ranger Super Mega Force, like most people should say right now, because when you guys see it, God forbid, you're probably going to wonder, why did my fan film didn't do so well? So, and well, since I, once again, for the last 350 plus videos, I've been doing a lot of things solo. Since my brother, however, since Power Ranger Super Mega Force is already over, my brother had already stopped watching Power Rangers because, well, even though 20 years old as he is, my brother's 20 years old and he has just stopped watching Power Rangers. 20 years is good enough because knowing Saban and his garbage with Power Rangers. Now Super Mega Force is God. Super Mega Force is over, thank God. But we don't know what's going to happen when it comes Dino Charge, so. But me, on the other hand, I understand most of you don't care. If you don't want to watch this long-ass commentary to a film that I spent 2 years on, then maybe you just might as well not watch the commentary or watch the film. But if any of you that want to stick around and hear my commentary on my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, feel free to come by and drop in some comments, even if it's going to be positive or negative, positive praise or negative criticism. Your choice. But I understand I've had some early negative criticism earlier because of the quality, and I understand why the film was postponed for a couple of weeks, and weeks on and weeks off. It's because I had to do some audio tweaking on the film because it wasn't budging very well. And also, but when you get to the second and third acts of the film, the audio, the original cut of the film when I uploaded it on YouTube is so low. It's just, I was afraid due to my, yearly long copyright phobia this year, I couldn't really do much of anything on YouTube. I mean, whenever it's some music that I do not own, a master party content notice is thrown in there on my video manager. On a video, or whatever it is, or the video is just blocked worldwide. So what I'm going to do is just do a commentary. Well, the audio, you can barely hear the audio of the fan film, but I have it very dead silent, but all you're going to hear me is, talk as I talk about what portion of the movie I'm at while the commentary is still going on. The timestamp is already at 0, so go ahead. So let's go ahead and proceed to my commentary and just, get on with my commentary on my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. And this should be the final video about the fan film, the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film for 2014. Though this is the first Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film being released, but I don't think nobody had no impact toward it. Well, except for those that I know on Facebook. But what is wrong with half of you here on YouTube? I understand most of you like Zordon Viltar and Teenage with Attitude and the MMPR film more. I like the Teenagers with Attitude and Zordon and Viltar fan films too, but again, the MPR fan film I do not like. I understand that one person will come up here and say that my fan film of Lost Galaxy sucks, and those fan films are more superior than mine. Well, you have your justified opinion. If you guys don't like my fan film, then, well, I don't know what to say, but just say nothing and just ignore your comment. If you say something about me to feel like, well, I am a sorry filmmaker, which pretty much I am, well, according to one person. So let's just go ahead and watch the film via commentary with me talking. You know, I understand for the last 300 and some videos now, I have been talking, and I have not done anything where you can't even get pure silence for me talking. Because there's nothing you guys can say to me that I should, about me, not talking in every video. Because I understand you guys can get annoyed by either that or you just don't, well, as much as this world right now is filled with ignorant people, no offense, but that's the truth. As much as this world is filled with ignorant people, you know how it is, especially here on the internet. So anyway, let's proceed to the commentary on my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, and the film starts in 3, 2, 1, and let's press play and start right now. The Marx Brothers logo starts at 4 seconds, and also what you're about to hear is that opening small music that I added to my new intro for my video podcast series on this channel, which is also the main theme, the small main theme for my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film series, and it will remain as a signature theme for my channel as well. So, and then in this section at 39 seconds is my opening narration. Unlike the earlier 2 Power Rangers movies, the opening narration doesn't have a scrolling text like, a la Star Wars style that was featured in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. In my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, the opening narration is just stock footage of space and interstellar kind of, Milky Way galaxy that I found, but I'm not going to tell you where I found the stock footage. But I mean, if you already know, then yeah, well, go ahead and say what you want there. And me talking about the premise of the Galaxy Rangers, or a lot, TV series. But I said, according to the description on the fan film video, that the fan film is not in canon or in the same universe as the actual Lost Galaxy Rangers, and not only that, the film does not take place on the the film barely mentions the origin. Well, this is one of the things about reboots and remakes. Now, here's the thing about reboots and remakes. Well, as soon as we get past Lord Metarex's bit, but actually just skip him and his opening small monologue, which was actually originally 7 minutes long earlier, and after so many rough cuts I had to redo. You see, the thing about reboots and remakes, although they're 2 different things, but the thing about it why we hate movie reboots and remakes nowadays is because, when you see a film or so getting rebooted, I understand it's painful to watch the origin again, and when knowing a lot of us that grew up with the stuff from the beginning or watched it from the beginning already know the origin. But what they're doing, why they're doing this again, is because they're doing it for a new generation. And we know we've already seen the origin of many superheroes with their in the remakes of the respective films like Man of Steel and The Amazing Spider-Man and whatever else that you can see that has a remake that has an origin being retold again. But unlike those films, my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, I understand this really disappointed a lot of you, but sorry for me rushing the origin, but I didn't want to retell the Lost Galaxy origin again, how the Rangers got together, how did the Red Ranger got on Terra Venture, how he stowed away, and also presenting the planet of Miranoi, and the origin of the Quasar Sabers and how they've been embedded into the the stone rock they've been in for 3,000 years. I've already told you that in the opening narration, but I just wanted to get to a point where the Rangers are actually fighting in the beginning. I didn't want to continue on, although yes, it's all gameplay footage, no original footage, because I told you the fan film comprises of paper dolls that I made of as characters with celebrity likenesses. Like, you know, Katie Cassidy is the Pink Ranger, Don Cheadle is the Green Ranger, and Wes Bentley is the red one. But, and I understand, I could see if I was doing it with real people in costumes, then you guys would have been anticipated to see the film. Even if it would look like a cheap knockoff or so, but you still want to see it. Even if it's not in your interest because of the way how I presented the film and the way how it's executed, you know, in concept and aesthetic. And pacing-wise, okay, I digress. But anyway, it's just, this was the kind of movie I wanted to do. I've been trying to make a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film for now 10 years. Come next year, 2015, will be 11 years. But right now, I'm not ready to do a sequel until when the script is done. And also, for the next 3-some years, I need to take some time off from these fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy for a long 3-year hiatus. And then by 2017, not around when the new Lionsgate Power Rangers reboot movie comes out, I will not be working on the sequel, or even around Power Morphicon 5 when it starts. I'm not going to do, or release a teaser trailer around the time here on YouTube. Okay, so in the section here is a fight scene with the Rangers fighting what appears to be Lord Metarex's Chromite soldiers. I understand what's so different about the first fight sequence with the Galaxy Rangers, although all of this is Soul Calibur 5 footage that you're seeing here. It's unlike when the Rangers first fought the Stingwingers while the Red Ranger had to deal with Furio. Because what you're seeing here is entirely different. You know, I understand most of you will say that this film, the way how I put it all together, this is not your Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, or even in other words, the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy you once knew when you was a kid. Because, now I can see if I did this to every Power Ranger season with the same formula, with paper dolls, video game stock footage, and what shit else. You guys are going to hate me for doing Power Rangers the way I did when it should be something that Power Rangers has always been. You know, 5 or a few teenagers, you know, battling intergalactic evil, and you know they have to fight these group of fight monsters of each episode one by one. Have to resolve the episode's conflict. Then once when the monster is destroyed, Megazord battle, and the episode is over, and then so on. But this film is not like that because I didn't want it to be like what Power Rangers has always been. Now, you guys are going to hate me for that because I understand it doesn't feel like Power Rangers. You don't see a Megazord battle. You don't see a morph sequence with the Rangers because, first off, I don't even have my Lost Galaxy transmorpher for my morph shots, morph footage. But for the puppets, you can't see the morph because it's impossible for me to have the puppets when I move them around one by one in the same shot with the camera rolling and saying "Go Galactic." I mean, that's not going to work, and it's not going to work because how the hell is that going to be even direly possible? Really, it ain't going to work. And you're in this point here. You're reintroduced to Villamax, who I should have hold it on for the sequel because I'm supposed to follow the footsteps of the show like most fans promised me to do, but I decided to do my own thing. You see, the thing is about Villamax, Furio, and Trecheron being in this film, while I have Lord Metarex, this bland main villain that I came up with. Now you're probably wondering why I went by this route. You're probably wondering why I went by this route of me doing the film my way and not what the fans want or what the show was done for. And film wasn't all that great to begin with, so. I don't know if this scene drew inspiration with the Red Ranger holding his Quasar Saber. That was taken from the opening scene of the Rookie and Red episode, but this time it's the Red Ranger fighting Villamax and not the Red Ranger fighting Furio. Then more Soul Calibur 5 gameplay footage I recorded via screen recorder. It takes place. I think I got too much blue coloring on the film. The coloring on here is too bad, but I should have never over-edited the coloring and the contrasting. Got to re-edit the film again so that way people can see what's going on clearly with all these rapid decoloring tones. And this is the scene where Villamax steals the Quasar Sabers. You know, Villamax's scene where he steals the Rangers' Quasar Sabers and captures the Red Ranger, there were like multiple edits I had to do during post-production, and there were, I have a raw video edit of what the scene was like with the struggling dialogue of mine and me struggling saying lines and stammering, because this is one of the problems with the film, because I had to edit the whole film cutting out scenes where I stammered when there's one character at a time on screen, and I had to like cut the scene, cut the longer cut of the scene out, and just only cut out what parts were relevant. There actually, in fact, throughout the whole film, there had been many scenes in this fan film that I had to take out, because originally, for those who may not know, my fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy was almost 3 hours long. Actually, in fact, the original rough cut of the fan film was 3 hours long, but after 12 parts worth of footage that I had to edit up on a movie editing software, it was actually 4 hours long worth of the film. So, for those who may not know, it was this close to be almost like 3 or 4 hours long, because nobody wants to see a fan film that's like 3 hours long worth of a story and characters, because that's like, you know, then you guys will sit here for, you know, wasting your day away for 3 some hours or 4 hours if you can take it, if you have the willpower to handle it, but, or the patience to handle it, but it was this close to be that long, so I had to compress it down to 111 minutes worth of your time, so that way you don't have to worry about seeing it for being a 2-hour film where, or 3 hours, because, you know, nobody doesn't like long-ass movies where you have to sit here and bore your ass off, and then once when the movie's over, you're like, man, this movie sucks, you know? And that's what I did here. I didn't want it to be a 2-hour long movie. I didn't want it to be a 3-hour long movie. It has to be lesser than that, because usually most fan films I have seen, most of the majority of fan films about anything other than Power Rangers, like Star Wars and Batman and whatever else that's a fan film inspired thing of anything in other media. Usually most fan films are usually shorter. But this is the first instance I have ever did a Power Rangers fan film longer than 30 minutes. And this movie is 112 minutes. Now, if you want to see a fan film of Power Rangers longer compared to mine, I think you need to see Zordon of Eltar, because look at the Zordon of Eltar fan film. When I heard that Cisco Davis Jr., Cisco, if you're listening to my commentary on my film here, and when I heard on the Zordon of Eltar fan film Facebook page, I heard the Zordon of Eltar fan film was going to be longer, but we already know how long the Teenagers with Attitude film was. It was 26 minutes worth my time just setting up who the Rangers are and how they first met Zordon for at least 26 minutes, and my film is a fucking priority. I don't know what to say here. I need to redo the coloring on the film once when I get back on YouTube. Have it set editing in progress for a couple of hours, and then once when the re-edited progress is complete, then I'll see how it looks. Because this blue coloring, all of the blue coloring overtones of the film is overly distracting. Well, in between the scenes where Will and Brown, the two Rangers that I created, that's not Damon and Kai, here, when they were talking about how they're going to get Tony, not Leo, from the construction site and, you know, rescue him from being destroyed by Villamax or whatever, there was a scene in between it, and in between the Red Ranger and Villamax is fighting a cage match, well, a la WWE something 2K whatever gameplay footage, and in which I recorded. There was a scene where the Rangers were on the riding in the Blue Ranger's Galactic Speeder vehicle, which, by the way, I have a toy of from the Lost Galaxy toy line that I could have used, but due to the fact that my room is filled with so much furniture, I mean the bed, my shelf, and the dresser, I couldn't even do much stuff to do because my room is so small. So small, I had to shoot what's close to me, because I can see if my room was bigger if I went outside and did something. When knowing I can't go outside, and you see, this is the thing. At the time of this commentary was recorded, this is still on a school day here, because, you know, school is still in session, work hours are still in session, and the thing is, if I go out and shoot a film, while school hours are still going on, some random grown-up will catch, some random person will catch me in the act, grown-up or so, and see me that I'm outside at let's say a local park or at a community mall somewhere doing whatever, strolling around, absolutely walking around like I'm going to do something to get myself locked up. And this is exactly what my dad was telling me, well, again, off screen, after so many months and, years since I've been out of, Gaithersburg High School, the high school I graduated from 3 years ago. And he told me that if I go out and do something with, with the camera and the puppets or whatever, and some person will see me outside and report, and he or she will report it to the police saying that they saw this person do this or do that when he should be in school. Like, and I should like tell the police, I'm not in school. I graduated high school. And I have to convince them that I have a high school diploma, so they should see that. I don't see what, but yet they'll probably lock me up for this because they think I'm going to go out and do something that I shouldn't be doing out in public while school is in session. Now I can see if I was doing this stuff at night because, you know, as far as, you know, my community is here in Montgomery County. So I mean, things have just gotten worse here where I live at, a lot worse. Now, where was I here with the film? Oh yeah, the scene where Lord Metarex convinces Villimax if he fails one more time, he will destroy him if he doesn't get the lights of Orion. But the scene where he tries to actually give him the Quasar Sabers, when the Red Ranger, if you've seen him, say that he told the team that he gave his team the real ones and gave you know, Lord Metarex, had Villimax give Lord Metarex the fake duplicates of the Quasar Sabers. Well, we know that plot convenience happened in Ginga Man and in the Power Rangers version as well, but I was mainly going by the Ginga Man version, and also here in this point of the video, Furio is introduced in the fan film. And what's so different about Furio's portrayal here than what he was in the original Lost Galaxy version from the TV show? A lot of that. I sort of did kind of portray Furio to be more of a dumb, idiotic, bumbling henchman who doesn't really hardly do much of anything right. Nor does Villimax. I mean, I think I was going by what Villimax was like from the Sentai version, other than what the Power Rangers version actually portrayed, which we still love. Because, you know, I should have thought about saving Villimax for another movie. But I didn't want to put Trakina in the fan film because I already told you my issues why. And, you know, after many, many videos for the past year. And I didn't want Trakina to appear and, you know, go follow the footsteps of the show, how it all started and such. Because I understand most of you fans have been really disappointed the way how I handled Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and having it in its own dimension, its own continuity, its own universe, and not being the same universe as all the Power Rangers, but with different Rangers this time around as the Lost Galaxy Rangers. New, you know, these unknown newbies that I created and not affiliated with Leo and Maya and Kendricks in them. I just didn't want to go by that because if I ever did, you know, you guys will be happy. But seeing newbies that I mean, new characters as the Lost Galaxy Rangers, that was not going to be in your interest because you can't. I mean, it's hard to imagine characters that has never been part of the Power Rangers universe that I created to appear as the Lost Galaxy Rangers, new generation wise, and see them in there. And like, are they the son and daughters of which respective Ranger? Like Tony Marshall, my Red Ranger here, the son of Leo, or Gwen McQueen, the daughter of Kendricks or Corone. You know, those examples. It's impossible. And this scene here, this is where Tony reminisces of his brother Jesse, who's also pretty much akin to Mike's character. But unfortunately, I didn't. What I did during production, I was so lazy to shoot the full-on origin of how these guys got together and how did they get the Quasar Sabers and how Tony lost his brother and the sinkhole of Miranoi. I didn't want to do that because I was, you know, I think I told you in a video or so, or some videos regarding this film, that I was so lazy I couldn't really do much of anything with the origin, and I didn't want to like do it all, do the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy origin all over, how they got the Quasar Sabers and whatever. I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to do it again because if I ever did, it would be considered reboot. It would be considered originitis, which is actually a term that was used back in what some person's review of the Amazing Spider-Man, when he reviewed the Amazing Spider-Man and said that this film suffered from originitis, and even the same go for Man of Steel. Look at Man of Steel. It also suffered from originitis by retelling Superman's origin again after you know, seeing Kal-El. His home planet being destroyed, planet of Krypton being destroyed by General Zod, and then he comes to Earth as Clark Kent, and then blah blah blah. And I didn't want to do it here because if I ever did, you know, you guys would see the origin of the Lost Galaxy Rangers being retold, because many of us who grew up with Power Rangers and had got to the point after in space, and then when Lost Galaxy came in 15 years ago today, and we've already know the origin of the Lost Galaxy Rangers. The space colony of Terra Ventura is present, the planet of Miranoid is present, the Quasar Sabers, the characters that are set up for the season, like Commander Stanton, who is actually not in this movie, probably will be in the next one, and the Ranger. Well, actually, these again my Rangers that I created are not Leo and Kendricks in them. Again, I didn't want to. It would be impossible for me to redo Leo, Damon, Kendricks, Kai, and Maya all over and see how I would have did them, because they're associated with these with this Ranger team, and not the Rangers I made up, like Tony, Gwen, Will, Brown, and Miranda, because they're not associated. Well, it's just they're just not affiliated with the Galaxy Rangers that we know here in the actual canon universe of Power Rangers altogether, even the entire canon dimension of Lost Galaxy. So I didn't want to. Where we skipped the point where we saw the Red and Pink Rangers kiss. Now, many of you are probably, that saw the film already, are probably upset that, well, in the TV series, you may not see Wes and Jen kiss in Time Force at the end, but yet you can see Tony and Gwen kiss in a couple of scenes, when there should be a romantic relationship going on between the two. Actually, in fact, I think I did something that the TV version of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy failed to do, and what would have been established. Setting up a romantic relationship between the Red and Pink Rangers. Well, we know the story about that behind it between Leo and Kendricks, and how that would have worked out is because we know the issue with what happened with Valerie Verdon, who was, well, at the time when Lost Galaxy was in its production, had to undergo leukemia. That's why the love story never made it. And for some, what the hell did I do? And for some reason, it just never made it into the series, because Valerie was undergoing leukemia and was suffering from it. That's why she had to go through. That's why when the Power of Pink episode came in, and when we got Protect the Quasar Saber, those few remaining episodes, she had to undergo chemotherapy. And once when the chemotherapy was completed, she was leukemia free. And then that's what made her come back in for the final episode, for the final scene, and all together of Lost Galaxy. Well, at least I had to establish a Red Ranger, Pink Ranger relationship about to build up, and I think it's not going to build up so well compared to some Red Ranger and other female Ranger romances. Actually, instead of just the Red Ranger, there are other male Rangers that also have a relationship with the female Rangers. I mean, why do you think Tommy and Kimberly and Mighty Morphin, the most popular Power Ranger couple among most Mighty Morphin fans, either you see Tommy as the Green Ranger or the White Ranger, and Kimberly is still Pink. Why do you think that relationship lasted that long? Or Tommy and Kat and Zeo, that worked it out very well. Red and Pink. Well, actually, this time Red and Pink. What about Andros and Ashley in Power Rangers in Space with their relationship? Although they're Red Ranger and Yellow Ranger. Jen and Wes's relationship, we know. I'm not going to go in full detail. And here we are. This is the point where the Magnum Defender comes into the film. Although the Magnum Defender should have had... I didn't want to retell his origin all the way, or reenact his origin while production was going on. I just didn't want to, like, go around... You know, I just didn't want to, like, spend, like, so many hours of the movie doing his origin and covering his character. We already know the Magnum Defender, but it's the new generation of Ranger audience, a new generation of Ranger fans that don't know nothing about Power Rangers before Samurai. But for the kids out there that know only Power Rangers Samurai and Megaforce, I think you guys need... I understand most people already got DVD box sets. If you guys are parents, you know, coming-of-age parents, and already have kids that want to get into Power Rangers or are already into Power Rangers, and if you already bought the box sets of the past 17 seasons of Power Rangers before Samurai, A+ and good for you guys. But I'm also saying it for those that don't know nothing about the Power Rangers that we, as former 90s kids, grew up with. Like Lost Galaxy and In Space and Mighty Morphin. Because I'm just saying that as a fact. You know, this is one of the most annoying things, and I have to nitpick before I talk about the rest of the movie. You know, when you hear Lord Metarex talk about his plan, now I've already did a podcast some weeks back, or days back, that when I was talking about Lord Metarex's character and how bland he is when he talks about his plan of reviving Serpentera, that is indeed one of the most annoying plot contrivances I have ever came up with for the film. Now, Scorpius, now we know he never came up with a plan of using something that belongs to a Mighty Morphin villain like Lord Zed and part of the Mighty Morphin era of all Power Rangers and use it to destroy Terra Venture, something gigantic and more gigantic than any other Megazord, and you know who I'm referring to. Serpentera. But unfortunately, I also want to tell you this about Serpentera and my use of him being in the fan film or in my original footage. You see, I was on a very tight budget, or in fact, I had no budget at all to make the film the way how I wanted it to, but this is why you ended up seeing what you see here with the puppets and less of everything and less of something that's more Power Ranger-like, you know, no morph scenes, no morph sequences, no Megazord battles, no monster battles or anything. This is something that I wanted to do, and this is, you know, again, since everyone wants to go with this Power Rangers Reimagined thing, but what I'm doing here, according to some people that's probably watching here, with holding onto your negative criticism or while I'm talking, this film may not be considered Power Rangers Reimagined, but I tried the best I can. Although it's a badly reimagined puppet show version of a Power Ranger season that some may like and some may not, or may not talk about as much, but yet when you talk about seasons that are mostly the most overrated in my opinion, like Time Force and RPM, you guys can go on and talk about that all the time because as much as you're passionate about it, or if you're an old school nostalgia whore for Mighty Morphin, you guys can talk about that all day, not about the other Power Rangers. I understand Mighty Morphin is the original. I love the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Hold on. Let me rephrase this. I'm not only just into Mighty Morphin, like some people. I'm also into all the Power Rangers. Well, except certain seasons, like RPM and Samurai and Operation Overdrive. Because I'm just not, you know, Power Rangers has been going on for now almost to come as of Dino Charge 22 years, and there are seasons that we like and there are seasons that we don't like, but except for Mighty Morphin, you know, Mighty Morphin has so much strong love because for after 20 years the power of the Mighty Morphin has been very stronger than ever before, and you know, seeing a whole bunch of Mighty Morphin memorabilia, Mighty Morphin merchandise still up to this point because they're the originals. I've already did a podcast about this that was also for an hour as well back in August, that I said that I do like Mighty Morphin. I don't see why some person would come up to me and say I don't like Mighty Morphin because it's overrated, but although I did make a point in that video, if you remember watching it, and if I can reconsider what I said there, that I said that every time when I'm in a conversation about Power Rangers, if I'm around someone who's only into Mighty Morphin and or just the first season most likely, because the first season is the most popular and you know it's the golden days of Power Rangers where everyone loves Trini, Kimberly, Billy, Zach, Tommy, and Jason, because those were the days when Power Rangers kicked ass for us. But I wouldn't go around and say that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers sucks. I never really said that, because if I ever did in a video, then a lot of you Mighty Morphin fans would come up to me and say how much you guys hate Lost Galaxy, even if you never watched it, how much I love it, and other Power Ranger seasons other than Mighty Morphin, because I understand Mighty Morphin is the only Power Ranger series a lot of people know. And I'll probably say the same thing about this too when I discuss the up-and-coming Lionsgate Power Rangers reboot movie. And I'll go ahead and say that too. And reconsider and reconcile and rememorize what I said here a little bit, but say it in a similar way for the next video or so. And that's just the thing, because you know when I think about when I'm around people who watched the Power Rangers for quite some small while when they were little or so, and they would come, and I'm talking about other seasons of Power Rangers. The only Power Ranger series, believe it or not, and still to this point, that they ever talk about, that they ever bring up to me in front of me, and just to insult me as a non-MMPR fan, is Mighty Morphin. Because we know Mighty Morphin is the most popular. They're the classic. They're the iconic. They know, and the original Power Rangers are the best. Nothing can touch the originals. Nothing can beat the originals. I mean, the other seasons suck. You know. You know, that really annoys me. Even Shuken Shinobi, when I've seen a video of him talking about when he was doing it, if you've seen his reviews on the Legacy Megazord and Legacy Dragonzord on his channel, you should look back at it. But I understand people like you are not going to care, because if you guys like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you love it. I love it too, but you don't see me go around talking about Mighty Morphin, because all you can hear about me talking about is Lost Galaxy or whatever. But that's all. Sorry for me singing that. That just made me want to sing the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy theme song while I'm talking. But, or even if I'm talking about a season that, like I said, that's overrated, like RPM, We Stick Together, and you know, or Time Force or SPD, that's really overrated. That's real overrated. But everybody has their favorites of what season of Power Ranger is your favorite. But when we talk about Mighty Morphin, you know, it's that whole "Go Go Power Rangers," you know, that same old. Yeah, I know my singing is awful. I'm not a good singer. That's one of the things you don't know about me here. But it's just when I think about it. But it's just the way how they rehash the theme song for the new era with Samurai Megaforce. It's just terrible, and just ugh. Oh yeah, sorry for me talking about Power Rangers outside the fandom. I'm talking. I mean to talk about my film here. I'm talking about Mighty Morphin. Sorry, that's just I got so many people that's talking trash to people who are so passionate about one season over others. Anyway, the scene where Tony skateboards. Now this is a profession that my Red Ranger actually does have, and shares a profession that that Shane, the Red Ranger from Ninja Storm, shares: skateboarding. Although his passion won't probably last that long with skateboarding, this is just a small scene I wanted to add into the film. And yes, this was footage utilized from Tony Hawk's Project 8 for PS3. But I played the PS2 version, which I still have, and I have now, since I have two different versions of Tony Hawk's Project 8 to play with. The PS2 version looked like crap, while the PS3 version is so inferior. It's a free-roaming Tony Hawk game, but the zones are very small and boxed in and shoved together into one zone. Whenever if I'm in the capital zone or the school zone or the neighborhood zone, yeah. And then the next scene here is utilized with Saints Row 2 gameplay footage. Well, the next Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film and the next two between it, I'm going to utilize some gameplay footage from Saints Row the third a little bit and Saints Row 4. And some more Grand Theft Auto gameplay footage to, you know, to immerse what Terra Venture would look like if it was so realistic. Because if you look at the realism of the graphics from Grand Theft Auto 5, if you guys still play Grand Theft Auto 5 still, or if you're still playing an older installment of GTA, but what I love about Grand Theft Auto 5 is the realism of the game, the characters. I mean, the texture of the characters, the overall environments of Los Santos. Well, I understand. Well, past Grand Theft Auto games didn't look like that back then, compared to up to Grand Theft Auto 5. But GTA 4 was the beginning of the HD era of Grand Theft Auto games for starting with the PS3. And, well, I'll talk about that when I discuss Grand Theft Auto games, but although I never played the first two Grand Theft Auto games when they came out for the original PlayStation, but when I had since I still have a PlayStation 2, and I used to have the third Grand Theft Auto 3, that was when I became immersed with the Grand Theft Auto franchise, although I didn't play the Grand Theft Auto in a game within, like, so many years, for like 10 years. And I didn't get back into the franchise until 10 years later, well, when I got my PS3 so late last year, 2 years ago, and then when I got Grand Theft Auto 4 for my PS3 last year, that's when I got back into the Grand Theft Auto franchise again. But I'll talk about that later. Now, the scene where Tony and Will are talking about whatever it is we're talking about. Now, the scene where Will gets into a conflict with Tony about him kissing Gwen, and knowing that their relationship is supposed to get somewhere in a point here, Will is so jealous that he doesn't want Tony going nowhere near Gwen. Now, just imagine it from back in the early episodes of Lost Galaxy. Now, imagine it like, remember when Leo first came into Terra Venture, and when Kendricks first saw his eye on him, and Kai was in the middle of it. I'm thinking back from Quasar Quest Part 1 here, when, well, and also in some early episodes of Lost Galaxy before the Magnet Defender happened, Kai didn't want Leo, whatever, because knowing Kai, he was so strict, he was being, let's say, a douchebag a little bit until his character changed by the mid-season, and, yeah, and this is what my Blue Ranger is like. However, the mid-scene where Will apologizes to Tony for his douchebaggery, I had to cut that scene out, but it's probably going to end up as a deleted scene from the film, or I can add it to a director's cut. But having deleted scenes I removed from the film earlier and then putting it in the director's cut it's not worth watching your time, because if you've already seen the deleted scenes separate from the movie, that's great, but seeing it as a director's cut will not be in your interest. But the scene where Tony and Will's conversation, while Gwen is in the middle of it, when things get really complicated, this scene was actually, the rough cut of the scene was actually, I think was 10 minutes long worth of dialogue with Tony and Will talking. And, well, a much rougher version of it that I did before I actually did the final version in time for post-production. Actually, this was during post-production, but the original version I had, when Will was talking smack about Tony's family and legacy, when he was talking about, he says the same line here when he says, when Tony talks about whatever it is he was talking about, I forgot, I'll look back at it later, and he says that, you know, that his brother should be ashamed of him, and he's a disgrace of his own family. That's when Tony gets really upset. But actually, in the rougher cut, when Tony and Will had a fight and they were when Will beat Tony up, he actually said the same thing, and Tony was like, "Fuck you, asshole," and then, you know, back smacked him again. But I had to remove it because I feel that that it was too extreme for the film's standards, because I realized that scene was a bit too explicit and too R-rated, especially where you have to hear the character say the word fuck and shit throughout the whole movie. I wanted to keep the film as like PG-13 like as much as possible, so. And that was the scene that I had to redo during post-production too. Get off my back, woman. Where did I hear that line before? Get off my back, woman. Oh, yeah. Well, at times, I didn't want to try to make the fan film as silly-like, or like a South Park parody of Lost Galaxy, like someone pointed out in the rough cut when I edited it until I deleted it. The real Black Ranger, that was the user that came on, the first person who made a comment about it, and said that I was trying to make this like South Park parody of these Power Rangers, but I wasn't. But I'm trying to keep this as serious as I can. But I'm just not really, you know, this is one of the things I hate about myself when it comes to the way how I make movies. I mean, even though this is my first one, but it's just, you know, like I said in my Lord Metrics video at the end, that I said that I suck at making my own movies, I suck at making characters, my own characters, I suck at telling stories, I suck at almost everything about when it comes to filmmaking. It's just, I just gotta try hard enough to try to make a much convincing film. Although, I've also never told you this, but I used to back in my final year in high school, if I should have did it before I graduated and all that crap, back, 12th grade, senior year, that I used to take video production as a class in the 12th grade, and I used to make small movies for the class. Although half of my movies may not make sense, and this is exactly what my problem is here. I'm just not a good avid storyteller. My visuals, when I simmer it in my head with my eyes closed, I try to keep the vision of how I do the movie in my head. But as soon as when I actually do it, it feels all out of place, and it's just the way how things are set up is out of place, and it just doesn't work right at all. And then when I actually see the real thing, and when I actually put the whole thing together, and when I see the whole thing completed, I know that the movie's going to look like garbage, because look at the film now. It already is garbage, because I just throw in too much gameplay footage when it's supposed to be my own footage, but knowing I can't go elsewhere other than being in the same old house with the stuffed up room with so much furniture and shit, and whatever else in the house, I can't do nothing. I can't even do squat shit here. This is why I'm so sick of Gaithersburg, and I'm sick of the Montgomery County area, because shit around here, I mean, as bad as shit goes on here in the world, out in the world, well, it's because, I have to keep my ass in the house every day. It's because, although I'm still looking for a job online or so, but it's just what's going on in my own community. It's just, there's a lot of terrible things going on out here, and it's also out in the whole world. Like terrorist attacks and what's going on, national attacks. Ugh. Well, I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. I mean, even when I get older, when I go out commuting with people and meeting new people, and then when something horribly goes wrong, because I mean, I see this stuff every day on the news. Well, even sometimes on the news, but I should be watching the news at all time. But when shit goes wrong in my local area here in Montgomery County in Maryland, it goes absolutely wrong. I mean, if it's a person doing manslaughter, or a man raping a woman, or doing child molestation charges, or whatever, shit just goes wrong. It goes wrong. That's why I keep my ass, even during school hours, even up to this point, I keep my ass in the house. Without leaving the door, I'm only 22 years old, and I'm still in my house. I'm still in the house with my dad, like laying around like a lazy bum, like I can't get a job, and knowing that I don't want to rush my life like most people do, because they want to get out and see what the future is like and what the world is like with them. But that's them. But me, I have to keep my ass in the house, away from all this danger that's going on right now. But if I go around doing dangerous stuff and the police sees me, then you know how that is in life. And I'm going to have to be in jail, and I have to be like in court and shit for what I did and whatever, and then I'm screwed. And my life is already cut short. Because that's how life sort of is in a way. Oh yeah, and we've already been introduced to Treacheron in the film. Sorry about that, because I was talking about, again, myself. Because, for the last 300 some videos on this channel, I have been talking about myself when I'm talking about Power Rangers or whatever else I'm talking about. Because it's just whatever I do about my experiences from when I was a kid to teenager to now, that's all I ever talk about is myself when I'm talking about something I should be talking about to stay on topic. Because when I don't stay on topic, I just go off course, It's just when I talk about this stuff, I just get out of place again, I get really out of place. I get really out of place. I just don't even show that much photo still shots of Terra Venture that much often here in the film. Because as you see the film, all I ever did to do the movie in is in my room. And only in my house. The only location where production took place in the film. Same shot, the same location here as you see is always in my room on top of the bed. You don't see hardly no green screen or nothing, or no other location around my area, or around where I should be community doing the movie. But you see in the beginning of the film where I did have some stock footage that I shot from when I was coming from Montgomery Village, and when you saw the Holiday Inn. If you saw it in the beginning, if you go back to the movie, if you rewatch it again, you'll see the Holiday Inn hotel building that's in my city of Gaithersburg in the Montgomery Village area, and then also the shot of the bridge, whatever that bridge was, and then you saw some buildings in D.C. or was it some buildings from Virginia? Because I live right near Virginia and D.C. and I live here in Maryland. But when you see those buildings in D.C., then you'll know where I actually shot the movie. But unfortunately, I only shot that as stock footage to lead to what Terror Adventure would look like in my vision, but not entirely. And then rest of the movie set in this damn dirty, filthy ass looking room. Ugh, that's why you. And here we are with the scene where the Rangers have to fight off Furio, and Furio tries to get the lights of Orion, and God, I mean, it's just, I feel like this movie is rushed. I just felt, I was so worried that if I make the movie so long and make you bored and for your consumption by boring you with me doing the same repetitive stuff I've been doing since the film started, then you guys won't even dare to like it, and you guys would say whatever you want to say from the top of your lungs and breath and whatever you can say from out of your mind about why my movie sucks and everything. So I understand, because I have to deal with constructive criticism. If my stuff doesn't get liked, it doesn't get liked. That's simple. Because I understand there's some people that appreciate me, and there is, well, I guess to my mind, I have a few people that appreciate my stuff, and many that just want to deride me and give me so much vast constructive negative criticism. Well, I have to deal with criticism for the rest of my life. If my stuff sucks, it sucks to people. So if I think it sucks, then I know I have to do some corrections for future videos or future films. Actually, my only film intentions is to do this Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film trilogy. Past films that I wanted to do before my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, I tried to do them. I wanted to make them, but at the time when I was still in, when I was barred from the media center in the 11th grade, I'll talk about that later, but I'm not talking about that right now. I gotta focus on the movie here. But those films were shafted. That's why I led to do this instead. Because I feel that if I do other films that's unlike Power Rangers, my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, the way how I would vision it, it wouldn't be the same. Having the same type of characters, especially female characters, the way how I would visualize them and have them being portrayed, and that sort of way. And yes, that's recycled Sentai footage from the same episode of Lost Galaxy with Orion Returns when they got the quasar launchers that you just saw. But I didn't want to use that much Sentai footage at all, period, because, you know. Well, although the original concept for the fan film reboot, Aussie Utaku, who was the first member who subscribed to my channel, but although he doesn't hear from me anymore, and I don't hear from him, is that he wanted me to do the fan film based on Ginga Man versus Mega Ranger, but knowing that the Space Rangers are involved, I just wanted to be the Galaxy Rangers only. But although with the Captain Gregory villain from Ginga Man versus Mega Ranger, I didn't want to go with that, because I felt that, well, knowing Ginga Man to me was a boring Sentai. Well, some say Ginga Man is better than Lost Galaxy, but I tend to disagree on that point. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but if they prefer the Sentai version over the Power Rangers version, that's you. But I'm talking about older seasons, not the current seasons where, you know, everything is shitty in today's Power Rangers, like Super Mega Force, for instance, or Samurai. So, you know. And they finally got the Lights of Orion armor, but it sucks that I understand that you guys couldn't see them fight with the armor for the first time. I just didn't want to spend so much time with the Lights of Orion armor and story arc like on the show because it was boring. Now the scene where the Magna Defender tells them that he's nothing compared to them and that they can't fight compared to him and all that. But we never seen the Magna Defender fight, but you'll see him fight in the finale, but not throughout the rest of the film. And as you see here, I still have my Toro Zord, but it sucked. But if only if I did the movie a little bit and had some more time to shoot original Zord footage of the Toro Zord fighting Lord Betarex, I would have been fine with it. But instead, all I ever did was shoot and do what I had to put up in this movie. Just only Ranger action versus, you know, whatever. And that's all I spent this first movie on. So I feel that this, I'll save it once we get to the end of the film. And also there's also going to be another coincidence as to where are the Rangers' Galactabeasts / Galactazords were throughout the film. And there will be a piece of explanation why they're not in the film. You see, I think I did something that Power Rangers Megaforce and Super Megaforce pretty much failed to do. Give the audience and the Rangers full explanation of this and that. At least this film made an explanation as to why the Galactabeasts and Magna Defender's Toro Zord is not present in my fan film. Magna Defender already told the Rangers that Toro Zord and he are one, but I already did my explanation in a podcast as to why the Toro Zord isn't present. And the Rangers, well, because I didn't have this at the time, my Toro Zord figure, which I still have that I bought from Amazon some months back, long ago, a couple months back. But I didn't have the Toro Zord with me, so. Well, here it is. It's right here with me, and so I just didn't have it back when I wanted to do the film because I didn't have the money to buy the Megazords from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy for my film. So all I was stuck with was just the puppets that I've made of the characters and whatever else I had with me in my arsenal for the film, so it'll get done. The scene where Will talks to Tony about his brother being the Magna Defender in some sort of belief. Now, this is pretty reminiscent to the last scene from the episode Shark Attack of Lost Galaxy that Maya told Leo that Mike may be out there or the Magna Defender may be Mike. Now, that's also pretty much of a reference I took from the season, but except for in between it is Trecheron having the Shark Brothers to attack the Rangers. I didn't want to tell that story again. Maybe I'll probably tell it for a sequel if I have enough room for Trecheron to be fully developed for these movies. Because, to be honest, although Trecheron may be a boring villain, but he's still as interesting as Trakina from when Trakina didn't have powers in the early Lost Galaxy episodes. And she couldn't fight at the time, so. But it sucks here Trecheron gets shafted in this movie, but I'll try to redevelop his character for a sequel if there's any room for him. And I should have thought, and I don't know what I was thinking putting Villamax in the movie in these movies so early, because if I should have followed the show's footsteps of having Villamax around when Trakina starts becoming the fierce queen of evil she is, until her transformation from being a spoiled brat of a princess and a daddy's girl to a fierce ass kicker and a fierce, malevolent queen of evil. I think I need to reintroduce and re-enhance Villamax's character and Trecheron's characters again. Furio, I'm done with this character for these films. I don't think I want him back at all, because we know Furio sucks, he was boring, and so was Scorpius. Well, I'm not going to tell you where he is at the end of the film. I'll spoil it for you guys when we get to the end of the film, if there's time on this commentary. And this is where Tony tells Gwen about that the Magna Defender, that Jesse is the Magna Defender. But we haven't even seen Jesse on screen during the film, but yet we've seen references of Tony's his brother. And also this belief of him being the Magna Defender already, and knowing that how is he the Magna Defender? And if this is either, this is what I this is pretty much why any of you guys watching, why did I confuse you guys with the Red Ranger's brother already the Magna Defender in the early point when the Rangers already got the powers and such, to the original Magna Defender when he first meets my Rangers. It's kind of confused. Maybe I did kind of confuse you guys because maybe I just didn't do something right. It's just I was just so tired. I was so lazy. I couldn't get much stuff done as much as possible because me being here with the door locked every day and knowing I wanted to keep peace. I wanted to stay in my room, peace and quiet, and stay away from so much trouble, and also dealing with my dad and my brother, especially dealing with my dad telling me this, telling me that, and I have to talk shit to him, which I shouldn't do to my only parent who lives in here, who's the owner of this house, and I shouldn't do this and do that and just piss him off when, if I do, I mean, I would, he would, I'm 22 years old, I'm a young adult, and he has the opportunity to kick me out of the house or send me to jail if I disrespect him or do whatever, but I'll just can it. This is the first scene of the film where Terra Venture's military unit storms into this building as some raid, and this piece of footage was utilized from a level from last year's Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Ghosts. So at the time when I did this film for the last half of the film, I did utilize some footage from Grand Theft Auto 5 and Call of Duty Ghosts for Last Minute, because I have 2 of those games and I got those games for Christmas last year for my PS3. So I wanted to add some Call of Duty action for any of you Call of Duty fanboys out there watching the film and probably wondering, yeah, that's Call of Duty, because I know I added some footage in there. Now, I can see if any of you that are Battlefield fans and players and make Battlefield multiplayer videos. Unfortunately, this is all from the story mode perspective of Call of Duty Ghosts and not the multiplayer portion of that game. I wanted to add some sort of a video game-like realism to my fan film. Not like in a Christopher Nolan kind of way of realism for if Christopher Nolan ever did a Power Rangers movie. Now, I know one of you out in the audience watching this are probably saying that this is why someone should do a better Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film than me, because my fan film is nothing but garbage. It's garbage. Just the way how I put it together and how it's done. I'm betting on one of you. I mean, unlike when I dealt with Justin Garrett earlier when he talked to shit about my film being crap and I should stop playing with puppets, in which I should. That just made me want to, well, and that shot with the carrier ship. Now, you guys that thought I had the Astro Mega ship, because knowing Lost Galaxy, they had the same Astro Mega ship that was in Power Rangers in Space. And also, like the Megazords from Lost Galaxy, I didn't, in Serpentera, and speaking of which, here's Serpentera now, but just only some recycled stock footage I borrowed. And I didn't have money to buy a toy version of the Astro Megazord when in this Mega ship form. Because, again, I was still struggling with my money and my financial issues, so I just didn't have the money to buy the Astro Megazord. Because now, if you go on Amazon's website, right now, and you look up toys for older Power Ranger seasons before Jungle Fury and RPM, if you look up the prices for each Megazord from Mighty Morphin to Operation Overdrive on Amazon, their prices are, you gotta believe me, they're ridiculous. Now, this is the scene I was talking about from podcast episode 84 when I referred to it, when Devin told the Rangers if they're the Lost Galaxy Rangers, why couldn't they use the Galaxy Megazord to defeat Serpentera? And this is where Tony comes in and explains to him why the Galactic Beasts aren't with them. And I already told you exactly why I do not have the Galaxy Megazord toy, because this was one of my most wanted toys for my Lost Galaxy collection of Power Ranger toys. Although I used to have the Galaxy Megazord when I was younger, but nowadays, even up to this point after 10 years, I still don't. I still don't have it. And he already told him that the Galactic Beasts were nowhere to be found when they first got the Quasar Sabers and everything. And this was my behind-the-scenes coincidence. It's just, well, for the last 2 years before I even made the fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, I tried to, you see, I do a survey company where I can make money and, you know, redeem Amazon gift cards. And, you know, I try to build up as much money as I could, but instead all I do is spend money on the small stuff I can use and such and make, and for myself and for the movies. And I should have saved all my money for the Galaxy Megazord, but instead I went and bought other stuff. My dumbass and the idiocy I went through for the last 2 years when production, pre-production, production, actual production of the film actually started. And I didn't even listen. I should have saved all my money until I got the Megazord, and, you know, again, as a collectible when it was like $30, but, well, there was a $30 collectible that someone sold, and then if I had the money, if I had enough, around $80, I would have got the Galaxy Megazord for $70-some as a collectible, but instead I went and bought some other thing, some crappy-ass Super Megaforce product or whatever I did. So, well, it's because I just didn't have, we see, the old Power Ranger stuff, mainly the Megazords, they are so expensive now. Even though they've been out of production for the longest amount of years they've been, but when you see them, you know, overpriced, I mean, I understand internet retailers have to sell stuff that expensive. I mean, stuff that you don't see in Toys R Us and places anymore, because that stuff is old and they've been years and years ago. But if you want to like try to buy the stuff for no less than like $40 or whatever, that's the right time to get stuff lesser than that. If someone sells it, if it has missing accessories, just buy the damn thing and just get it, instead of like procrastinating to, like, you know, try to get it. I mean, I understand it's highway robbery to buy a damn Megazord that's a Megazord toy from any Power Ranger season before RPM and Samurai and such, that's out of production, that Bandai doesn't make anymore. Now, I can see if Bandai America did a Legacy Lost Galaxy line after they probably do some Legacy Zeo Turbo and then Space stuff. And when they get to Legacy, when they do a Legacy line for Lost Galaxy, I hope they will do a Legacy Galaxy Megazord and Legacy Torozord, Legacy Centaurus and Stratoforce Megazords, so they were more show accurate than what we already have. Because, you know, from the looks of the Galaxy Megazord, now I only have one of the Galactazords that I got from eBay, and, you know, with the missing leg, which is the lion, and if only if I had more money to buy the other Zords to complete the Galaxy Megazord, I would be okay, so I don't have to worry about going on Amazon so much, waiting for some person on Amazon who's a new coming seller who still has some leftover Power Ranger stuff in his or her basement and sells it on Amazon. Sorry, I know I gotta deal with loud noise when I'm talking. And if someone has some old Megazords that they want to trade and sell, I mean, I understand majority of Power Ranger toy collectors, again, go on eBay, because eBay has some stuff that has a lot of Power Ranger stuff than Amazon does. Because look at Amazon. All they can sell is whatever else they can sell. I mean, stuff about the new seasons of Power Rangers. But if I was old enough to order stuff from Amazon, before they started, you know, over jumping the price and jumping the gun on making the prices on such old Power Ranger stuff so expensive for collectors, I would have been fine with it if the stuff was still over, like, if the stuff was about $30 or $50, then I would have bought it. But no. I was a kid at the time, and as I gotten older, and to a point in time, as time flies with the new stuff, with the new Power Ranger stuff out, and the old stuff gets overpriced and in mint condition, it gets really repetitive. That's why I have to depend on eBay and see how much the stuff costs there and compare the prices of what the stuff costs on Amazon. Well, for the old Power Ranger stuff, mainly the Megazords, which, by the way, is ridiculously repetitive. and petty for Amazon to do that. Because just because this stuff is out of production doesn't mean you guys got to make it so overpriced for people who don't have money or have the kind of money like myself to buy that such thing. Even if I had it before, and when I donated, well, although I donated the Galaxy Megazord and other Power Ranger Zords I had at the time away and donated them to the Goodwill and the Salvation Army 10 years ago because, well, when we were in the era in the past decade when the war in Iraq and Afghanistan was going on and kids were in desperate need and they couldn't deal with the war that was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq at the time, my dad had me and my brother donate our old toys, especially Power Ranger toys I like playing with. And I cannot believe I had the audacity. Why the hell did I have to give away my Galaxy Megazord and my brother's Toro Zord? Well, I mean, and other Megazords from Power Rangers, well, up to Lightspeed, Wild Force, and gave those away. I mean, well, it's because, well, we were at it. Well, I was 12 years old at a time, and I was getting too old for toys, and well, I was at an age where, I was a preteen at the time, and I was getting too old for toys, and I needed to move on to something more that most teenagers go with. And, I can't live my life as a kid as I get older because if people see me living my life as a kid forever, they'll look at me as a man-child. I mean, look at a couple man-children on YouTube that people hate. Now, compare me as a man-child and then see why I still feel that way and think that way, and I just don't think maturely because I guess this is exactly what I'm lacking is my lack of maturity. That's what it is. Now the shot with the Red Ranger in front of you and the Magnum Defender in the back, that is also, I think I took as a nod to what the Red Ranger and Magnum Defender's conversation was like in the Redemption Day episode when the Magnum Defender had to seek redemption. Now, I think most of you are probably disappointed right now that I had to cheat the Magnum Defender's redemption side of the story in the fan film very short and rushed and not fully had its time taken very carefully because you see time was running out on me. I should have had this fan film out in time for the summer, but instead, due to the fact I was so in so many worries that if my fan film had certain portions of the film had certain portions of content that I should not own, like copyrighted music, that's why I didn't want to that's why I didn't want to post the film so early in the summer because I was, knowing my copyright phobia and especially around Saban Brands' Power Ranger channel because if you remember earlier this year, even with Super Mega Force when it was still on and even though it's still over at the time when this video was made it's already over, but when Super Mega Force was running and when Saban was promoting Power Ranger Super Mega Force and such, and Saban still owns the rights to Power Rangers and all that. And when they gave us people who make Power Ranger related videos match third-party content notices for no fucking reason, I think that's what caught me to have this copyright phobia against Saban. And I feel like I'm starting to become. I feel like I'm starting to lose a lot of interest in Power Rangers and stop being a fan after 20-some years. And I feel that I need to give up on Power Rangers up to the point, despite Saban's bullshit with the copyright earlier, knowing that from what I heard from one person in the comment section of some video about the copyright, Saban copyright against Power Ranger fans posting videos about the show crap, that someone said that Saban is not actually doing it, it's YouTube and its faulty blanket copyright system that's doing that. So I don't see how it's Saban Brands' Power Rangers channel actually doing it. But when you see, well, if you remember from Mr. Weenie Productions' videos about the copyright flagging of people making Power Ranger videos and knowing that, that's actually YouTube actually doing that. YouTube's new copyright and content ID system doing that. Because, YouTube hasn't been right for the last 3 years, even from the time when I even first joined YouTube 3 years ago, in 2011. If I posted this kind of stuff in an early point in time when YouTube didn't have, serious copyright and repetitive copyright takedowns and such all the time, I would have been okay posting the stuff I've always wanted to post when YouTube was still in its glory days. And as we reach to YouTube's 10th anniversary we're going to reminisce the good times. Well, although I wasn't a user or a member at the time because nobody knew who I was on the internet, because I never had a YouTube account until 2011. And then when I came here as PRLG 2014 2 years ago in 2012, I was slowly being noticed by a couple of people and people who subscribed to me. But as soon as when I was on my old YouTube channel, I'm not going to repeat it, but here on PR Lost Galaxy 2014, I'm starting to be a little bit noticed because I kept telling people I did this Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, and this was my intention on the channel. I did a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, although it was going to be a cheap looking one. If you ain't going to like it or so, then probably can't accept it for what it is. Then what's the point? And I did it. But when it came to doing other stuff, I feel like I wanted to throw in other types of content that's not my fan film stuff, but other stuff in general, anything in pop culture. That's why, ever since my video updated my return to the channel back around Power Morphicon week in August, 3 months back, that I wanted to start posting videos about stuff other than Power Rangers, like Transformers related stuff, and Sonic and Ninja Turtles stuff, and whatever else in pop culture, and celebrity stuff. Instead of about Power Rangers all the time, I wanted to do some pop culture related stuff, but I don't want to do stuff all about Power Rangers, because for anyone who's not a Power Ranger fan, they'll probably come up to me and say that Power Rangers suck. Well, actually, that person is probably an idiot for saying that, knowing that he or she should say it about the newer seasons, which part of the Neo Saban era that sucks, not the seasons before Samurai that sucks. Knowing that the early days of Power Rangers were, the earlier seasons of Power Rangers were the best, but seasons of Power Rangers before Samurai. But I still have a grudge against RPM because for what it is. And here we are, and this is, sorry for me talking about other stuff, but this is the portion where the Rangers finally get a chance to take down Lord Metarex. And albeit, Lord Metarex, like I said, he's a terrible villain. His character motive, I already told you in podcast 115 that he is a terrible villain. He has bland character development. It's just, his character is just terrible. And if you have watched the movie already, and even while I'm talking, you know that his character, all he ever talked about was him talking about reviving Serpent Terror when knowing it belongs to Lord Zed. And I already told you that this Lord Metarex Xenon Empire stuff never existed in the actual Power Rangers universe. All of this was in my fan fiction universe of Power Rangers and of Lost Galaxy. And this is all made up because I didn't want to go by, suppose if Scorpius looked like Metarex in my universe, then that would have been even more boring and made the story for this film even more tedious, and the fight scenes even tedious and transcendence to the story. But seeing Lord Metarex squaring off with the Rangers, wiping the floor with them one by one. I mean, the way how I did the final fight with the Rangers' last battle with Metarex, for the rest of the movie, Metarex is beating the Rangers like it's no one's business. And yes, the rest of the battle is utilized with Soul Calibur 5 gameplay footage I recorded. And I didn't want to use any, I didn't want to do my own, that much original, fight footage of Metarex beating the Rangers' asses, because it's impossible to see that I wanted to do that much originality. I mean, I tried to, it's just, it's just the reason why I have to depend on such footage like that, that I did with the fighting, is that I can't make my own fight scenes with this kind of effects, because I don't have Adobe After Effects or some other video editing software where I can make advanced high concept special effects, like high concept explosions, high concept laser effects, high concept lightning effects when some special effects like that come from weapons or what powers the Rangers possess or whatever. I can't do that kind of stuff. I just don't have. I have zero interest. I mean, not interest, zero experience at making these effects. That's why I have to depend on effects like this that you see in video games, like Soul Calibur here, Although the Soul Calibur franchise is already in decline already as it is, but thanks to Soul Calibur 5, it just really brought the franchise to complete decline, or was it Soul Calibur 4? I don't know. But that's why I depend on that game the most, because I made more character creations on there than I did in Soul Calibur 4, also for PS3. But most of the majority of the fighting most of the fighting and the footage is all utilized from custom footage I recorded from Soul Calibur 5, but I had to fasten it so that when I wanted to make the fight so damn slow for the film, and I really want to fasten the pacing on the fighting so that when I want to waste so much time with the same the same moves, the same fighting moves that they do when I press the same buttons over and over. More Call of Duty Ghost footage utilized, but I had to shorten it a little. You know, I did this fan film as more of a, well, the whole story was like, the Xeon Empire stuff was more of a hoax. So it was like more of like my way of having the audience have it as a ploy to set up what I have in store for a sequel. So I pretty much set you guys all up that the story for this movie was not good. It's just, I told you I wanted to do a fan film, a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, that I've always wanted to do with Trachina involved. But Trachina is not in this movie, but she'll be in the next one if some random actress would like to get into acting, someone who is a Power Ranger fan that would like to join my film to do the role, but I don't know any female Power Ranger fan that would like to, but I don't think, is there any female Power Ranger fan that's in the female villains, however. And unfortunately, knowing me, I've been struggling, and I'm not going to tell you that story again with What's-Her-Face from Gaithersburg High School. I'm not going to bring it up anymore. I need to move on. It's just this whole Xeon Empire stuff was just a complete ploy of me setting up for Trachina's introduction into my fan film series, because I guess Metarex was just a terrible creation. I just feel that he was just a sorry, pathetic villain. And when you look at him, he is pathetic. I mean, he may be powerful to defeat the Rangers, but his entire motive of destruction is pathetic. When you just think back at this whole film, and when you hear him, well, even though I voiced all the characters, by the way, but when you hear me do the voice of Metarex, his character and the way I portrayed him is pathetic. It's lame duck. And this is why he's like a downright Lord Zed with a terrible character motive, and knowing that Metarex has no character development. He's still the same from start to finish, from the time when the movie opened up, from the time when he's destroyed, and also the post-ending scene the post-ending scene of the movie when we get to it. So yeah, that's the thing. Metarex is no way in the world powerful. Now you'll see why. And as soon as he approaches the Rangers while they're pretty much half dead, and once when the Red Ranger gets up, this is when Metarex slams his fist to the ground with his foot and tells him that's his last shot. And he thinks he has the guts to take him down, and he's really starting to piss him off for that. He will destroy him once and for all. Sorry for me requoting. There's Miranda. It's just I just didn't show off my Yellow Ranger that much. Maybe in the next film I'll show her off. And because the now let me tell you a little bit about the Yellow Ranger I created for this film. The Yellow Ranger that I made for the fan film in the beginning was actually a guy, because I was going by the Sentai of Lost Galaxy, which was Gingaman, but I decided to change it to a girl because due to the fact that in Lost Galaxy the Yellow Ranger is a girl, whereas in Gingaman the Yellow Ranger is a guy. But I decided to change it and swap it all around, gender bend. And I think this is one of the high points of the finales when Tony says this line. I think I tried my best with that acting ability there and the acting cut there when I said that, and when I did the voice of him saying, "And we must stand together to fight against evil, especially from the likes of you." Well, I don't, you know, this is pretty much something that I wanted to do to make people think that I probably did a good job doing the way how I would have done Power Rangers in a darker tone than how the Neo Saban era can handle it. Because look at the Neo Saban era. It's just too giddy-like. It's just too over-exciting. It's also horrendous with the acting. It just feels too much like Sesame Street when I watch it. It's like the way how it's just when you look at today's Power Rangers, it's like you're watching Sesame Street and some other little kid show. But at least I tried to take the acting much seriously because although there were some humor, some of the acting may sound like it's taken for humorous effect. But I disagree and tend to digress on that opinion. So I had to digress. Yeah, you have more power than you were imagined already. You don't even have that much power. You're not even that powerful. You're not even as powerful as Venjix from RPM, in a way. Actually, I think Lord Menerex to me, when I portrayed him, I think he was pretty much more like how bad Lothor is in Ninja Storm as a villain. But unlike Menerex, Lothor, or pretty much like him, Menerex is pretty much more like a male. I'm not gonna say, but let's just say he was just as terrible. He's just a terrible leading villain for this film. Now, I could see if I was following the show's footsteps and I had Scorpius in the film, that would have made the story a little better, or stuck with that Captain Gregory character that's never been adapted into Lost Galaxy from Gingaman vs. Mega Ranger. And see how that would have worked out instead of creating my own villain, who is obviously half based on Darth Malgus from Star Wars The Old Republic. Although I never played Star Wars: The Old Republic on my PC or had any, because I don't have any games for Windows computer for my PC. But I've just heard the Darth Malgus character just recently when I brought it up on the podcast devoted to Lord Menerex, and I told you my story about him if you've already watched it. So. There was a scene where the Magnum Defender and Lord Medirex were fighting. In the first trailer I uploaded back earlier this year, but it was a rough cut when the Magnum Defender said "damn you," but I had to remove that and I had to replace it with a version of the scene that was suitable for the final cut of the film. And there was like, you know, at the time when I was about to post this film, there was like so much rough footage that I wanted to show, but I couldn't put it in this film because I feel like it would be too much footage. And, you know, for your consumption sitting through this movie because of how long it is and how excruciating and painful it is to sit through it. It's painful. So Lord Medirex is pretty much nearly defeated, but the Magnum Defender is destroyed. But the Magnum Defender is dead. And at least I did something right. But except what's missing from the Magnum Defender's redemption here in the movie is him remembering of his son Zika, which I told you I didn't want to go by the origin of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy again because I didn't want to go by the origin for my film. I told you this film is its own thing. So whatever you remember from the actual series did not even half of it barely did not even happen here. I understand due to the amount of time that I had to, due to the amount of scenes I had to, some of the amount of scenes I had to cut out of the film because it was going to be too long for your consumption. You might as well have to take the film for what it is, in case, well, sooner or later one day in the future I'll probably do a director's cut and reinsert the pieces of minutes of the film that was removed from the cut that you've already seen and put it right back in, even if it's going to have music that's copyrighted or not. But you're going to have to, but I'm going to have to make this as a risk to cause my account to get terminated for copyright, so yeah. Just as a risk. And that's all I have to say. And here is Tony's brother, Jesse, who we haven't seen in the beginning because due to the fact I told you I didn't want to show the origin so much that I wanted to bring him in when he was already put in reference. And he's actually back alive, actually, so you're going to find this as a certain unexplained plot hole right here. So the Marshall brothers are finally reunited, just like how Leo and Mike got back together. At the end, brothers reunited. After when one being believed he was gone and lost forever. You can barely hear the movie in me because someone's blowing the leaves and knowing that, well, Oh, sorry about that. I understand you guys have to hear that because knowing that the county has to cut the grass and blowing the leaves because when I do videos, I know you probably have watched some podcasts and such where I talk and then I hear this stuff go on in the background. It's because I have I have to deal with loud noise when I have to do videos, and even if I understand when something has to be done around, it has to be done to keep the environment of this the county and and everywhere where I live at clean. So this last scene here, if you can barely hear me, but not the film, this is the last scene where Tony and Gwen see each other, and I'm not sure if it will be uncertain if I should have her again, because you see, Gwen McQueen, a character, a Pink Ranger character I've had since my fan film pilot of The Rise of Trakina from 2011. You see, she was one of the poorly developed Pink Ranger characters I've ever had, and in fact, here, especially with the likeness of Katie Cassidy this time around for for Gwen's character, it's very increasingly difficult to develop her character and what her character should be here. I mean, unlike when I did the original Rise of Trakina film, when I based her off, Daphne. If any of you are fans of her from her TNA WCW days, I did base Gwen's character off from Daphne if Daphne was a Power Ranger when I shouldn't have had her as really should have had her as Trakina in my mind, but she's not. But although Trakina's not in this film, but there had been multiple references of her, but small references of her, but not mentioned throughout the film. Like one when Villamax comes in and meets Lord Minorex in his lair. Trakina's mouthpiece from her green armor suit, and as well as the mouthpiece that she had from the Lightspeed Rescue team-up, was featured on the ground, and as well as when Debbie gives Tony his tablet about a photo of what appears to look like a drawing of Trakina if she was like on Terra Venture's Most Wanted. Now, that's also featured in the film as well, because that's pretty much something I wanted to do to foreshadow what I have in store for the second film of the new fan film series. Although this was my first time making a full-on fan film of Power Rangers Galaxy, but my last two fan film attempts were unsuccessful and they were dead-on failures. And that's a good thing. I didn't want to release those fan films because they were, knowing that they were not going to be completed on time when they were supposed to, or been put together, or being done, or had complete endings, or had a thorough ending to each, because they were never going to work. Now I could see if I did this film and took as much time as I could to make it and get it done, and had to spend, you guys would have to wait 2 long years for it to come out, and then you guys would be like, 2 years was worth wasting my time, and I don't think I want to see it anymore because you took too damn long. And this is exactly what my dad told me, even when I was still in high school doing the last fan film the last Power Rangers Galaxy fan film before the reboot. And, even though I was still in high school at the time and I was, video production and stuff I had to do, and my freshman problem was was in the way, and I couldn't get the film done because I was dealing with those issues. This film, I tried to avoid thinking about those issues because that's a thing in the past, but thinking about what I did in the past shouldn't really reflect to me on what I'm doing here in the future. Really. I had to move it to another location because it's just getting too noisy. A noisy location because it's just getting annoying. So this is the last scene of the movie I had to mention. that I mentioned about Lord Metarex. Now, what appears to be is my new representation of what appears to be the Terra Venture Clinic Asylum, a asylum facility I made up from my last Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film. Now, I will do a next season on PR Lost Galaxy 2014 Season 3. I will talk about, for video podcasts, that I will talk about the Terra Venture Clinic Asylum and how I thought about it in my head if Terra Venture ever had an asylum facility for villains and monsters of all the Power Rangers, if they were mentally insane. So I think from the look of it, as the end of the movie depicts Metarex at the end and Scorpius comes in, let's just say Metarex was insane and he was delusional, thinking that the Zeon Empire to the Rangers is real, but that's also in my context of how I did his character in this film, that the Zeon Empire is not real. So, well, because when knowing that I wanted it to be a real situation, a real deal, so yes, I gave you my first ever lame duck villain I have ever came up with for any of my fan films or fan fiction videos of Power Rangers, and thought about it and why I did what I did. And then here we are with Scorpius' appearance, foreshadowing what I have in store for Trachina for the next movie if I do it. And also in the film, if you've seen the end, I did the voice of Scorpius, by the way. And I tried to make his voice sound exactly what he sounded like from the TV series when Kim Strauss did his voice. You know, Kim Strauss, who did the voice of Ninjor and Mighty Morphin, and then also did the voice of Scorpius here. So, yeah. So then there goes the end. So that was the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, and this is the end of the movie and the end credits. Well, skip the end credits. That was the end of the film. So anyway, what do you guys thought of the film, and also thought of my commentary on it? I understand my commentary, well, up to this point here, has gotten louder and louder outside of the video and it's outside of the house structure, because what has to be done outside has to be done out. And it's coming straight in here, and it's so loud as hell, and I understand it's distracting. But I feel that my film wasn't. Now I have to admit that when you hear my personal thoughts video, now click to that and see what you think of what I felt about the film, what you feel about it. Because I feel that I don't think I did a good job making this movie, but I'll try the best I can another few years from now if I do another one. Or not, but that depends on what I have in store for the next installment. So, and I can't believe this commentary was longer than the movie was. So, for me talking and talking and talking, and the way how I started the commentary off was just, yeah, long. So, thanks for watching my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with me via commentary. I hope you guys look forward for my new videos next season. And this is the end of PR Lost Galaxy 2014 season 2 for the channel. And this is one of the last remaining videos for season 2 of my channel. And after spending 2 years on the reboot project, but 10 years overall of trying to make a Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film, I'm not really sure if this was the best route to go. So anyway, this is Anthony Marsh Jr. on PR Lost Galaxy 2014. Logging off, and I'll see you guys right back here with more content and such next year and next season. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys right back here next time. So have a good holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, New Year's and everything. And my commentary here and for the season on Terra Ventures Conference Hall is now over.